When I was about 6 years old, something happened that I would spend the rest of my life trying to understand. It was an ordinary day, a bright afternoon, sunshine, a garden, the kind of carefree day only a child truly experiences. I was playing alone when, without warning, everything changed. The world around me seemed to dissolve. I wasn't asleep. I wasn't dreaming, yet I was no longer standing in that garden. Instead, I found myself moving through space, past planets, past stars, through the vastness of the universe itself. As I traveled, each world seemed alive with its own sound, vibration, or resonance. Not music exactly, but something deeper, a frequency, a tone, a signature, and I was not alone. I felt as though I was being led by a presence. Then came something even stranger, a sense of knowing, not learning, knowing, as though all knowledge existed simultaneously, as though every answer was already present. At the same time, I felt connected to everything, not connected in a metaphorical sense, connected in the way a wave is connected to the ocean. The boundary between myself and the universe seemed to disappear. Then it was over. I was back in the garden, a child once again. I recall trying to explain it to a friend and was quickly dismissed, so I buried the experience away, and it slowly faded, and for decades I barely thought about it. But later in life, as I became interested in science, philosophy, consciousness, and the nature of reality, fragments of that memory began to return. And with each passing year, a question grew louder. What exactly happened? The honest answer is that I don't know, and perhaps nobody does. But what fascinates me is how many of humanity's greatest thinkers have wrestled with similar questions. Questions about consciousness, questions about reality, questions about whether we are truly separate from the universe around us. Modern science tells us that everything we see is made of atoms. Atoms are mostly empty space. Within them exist particles that behave in ways that challenge common sense. In the quantum world, certainty begins to disappear. Particles can exist in states of possibility. Some appear connected across vast distances through a phenomenon known as quantum entanglement. The deeper scientists look, the stranger reality becomes. Yet quantum physics does not prove spirituality. It does not prove universal consciousness, and it certainly does not prove childhood mystical experiences. What it does prove is something equally remarkable. Reality is far more mysterious than our everyday experience suggests. Then there is consciousness itself, the greatest mystery of all. Science can map brain activity. It can identify neurons firing. It can observe electrical patterns, but no one yet knows exactly how subjective experience emerges. How does matter become awareness? How do billions of neurons create the experience of being you? This question is known as the hard problem of consciousness, and despite extraordinary advances in science, it remains unsolved. Some researchers believe consciousness emerges entirely from the brain. Others wonder whether consciousness may be a more fundamental aspect of reality itself, a possibility explored by philosophers for thousands of years. Long before telescopes and particle accelerators existed, ancient thinkers looked inward. The sages of India spoke of a universal consciousness underlying all existence. The mystics of many traditions described moments in which the self dissolved and only unity remained. The ancient philosopher Pythagoras imagined a cosmos governed by harmony and proportion. He spoke of what became known as the music of the spheres, the idea that celestial bodies participated in a cosmic symphony. Modern astronomy has discovered that stars vibrate, Planets interact through frequencies. The universe is filled with waves, oscillations, and resonances. In a poetic sense, the cosmos truly is alive with vibration. And when I think back to that childhood experience, I cannot help but remember those worlds, each carrying its own unique tone. Across cultures and centuries, people have reported experiences remarkably similar to one another. A sudden feeling of unity, timelessness, infinite knowledge. Some call these mystical experiences. Others call them altered states of consciousness. Some see them as glimpses of a deeper reality. Others see them as extraordinary creations of the brain. Perhaps they are one and the same. If reality is experienced through consciousness, understanding consciousness may be the key to understanding reality itself. What if separation is not the whole story? What if individuality is real, yet incomplete? Consider the ocean. Each wave appears separate. Each has its own form, its own lifespan, its own identity, yet every wave remains part of the same ocean. Perhaps human beings are similar, distinct individuals, yet expressions of something larger, not isolated observers standing outside the universe, but participants within it. The universe becoming aware of itself. I'm not claiming certainty. I cannot prove what happened to me in that garden. I cannot prove that I encountered God. I cannot prove that the interconnectedness I felt reflects an objective reality, but I also cannot dismiss the experience, because it changed something fundamental. It left behind a question that has followed me my entire life. A question shared by scientists, philosophers, mystics, and seekers across generations. What are we? Why are we conscious? And why does the universe seem so perfectly structured to allow awareness to emerge at all? Perhaps one day science will answer these questions, or perhaps it will uncover something far deeper. Until then, I remain fascinated by the possibility that the ancient sages and modern physicists are standing on opposite sides of the same mountain. One looking inward, one looking outward, both searching for the same truth. And whenever I think back to that bright afternoon in the garden, I remember a fleeting moment when all knowledge seemed present, all boundaries disappeared, and the universe felt less like a collection of separate things and more like a single living whole. Whether that was a glimpse of reality as it truly is, or simply the most extraordinary moment of a child's imagination, remains a mystery. But it is a mystery worth exploring. Because sometimes the questions themselves bring us closer to the truth.